Studios needs major help and some major new investments. To put that in context, I visited the park most recently a couple days ago, and then my previous visit to the park was back in 2018, and personally I didn't notice a single difference visiting the park 5 years ago from visiting the park today. Like everything in Production Central to New York, San Francisco, Springfield, and Diagon Alley all felt the same as how I remembered it back in 2018. Which is just crazy because in that same 5 years, Islands of Adventure has added two great rides in Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure and Velocicoaster, and even the areas that haven't been touched in the past 5 years still feel fresh and new. So honestly, Universal Studios needs more help and more attention. So here is everything wrong with Universal Studios. The biggest problem with Universal Studios comes down to its ride lineup. Now, none of the rides at Universal Studios are inherently bad rides, except for Fast and Furious Supercharged, but most of these rides are just nothing special and or have better counterparts at Universal's sister park, Islands of Adventure. Like, for example, Despicable Me, Minion Mayhem, and Race New York Starring Jimmy Fallon are both very similar motion simulators. And then also, well, Fast and Furious Supercharged is a dumpster fire, but I won't spoil that experience for you. Along with that, you have the Simpsons Ride, which is basically the Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man, but worse. And then you also have Transformers, which is also very similar to Spider-Man, but worse. And the only rides at Universal that are really good rides are Harry Potter and Escape from Gringotts, along with The Revenge of the Mummy, which those are both very unique indoor roller coasters that are very fun. And as for Hollywood Rip Ride Rockit, it's not a bad ride, but it's just been very shaky throughout its life. But one redeeming factor with Hollywood Rip Ride Rockit is that it does at least provide decent to good airtime on every hill, which is kind of surprising considering the ride has some major pacing issues. Now, those are my problems with Universal's ride line. So now that I mentioned all of Universal's problems regarding their ride lineup, now here are my suggestions to fix the ride lineup. First, you need a major new coaster. I would personally recommend removing Hollywood Rip Ride Rockit and replacing that with a major new coaster. Now, personally, Velocicoaster does a lot for Islands of Adventure's ride lineup and really makes that park almost an elite park. But personally, something along the lines of Velocicoaster would have been a much better fit at Universal Studios and could have easily worked as a replacement for Hollywood Rip Ride Rockit. And another thing I would change is just to modernize Men in Black Alien Attack. Now, I feel like this ride has great potential, and I personally remember it being a great dark ride, but when I recently did it back a couple days ago, it really was not as good as I remember. Now, personally, what I would do is just modernize the sets, and it's good for not being a screen-based shooting dark ride, but a lot of the sets just aren't up to Universal quality. Not that I'm saying they are cardboard cutouts, but they definitely feel like cardboard cutouts. And also, the guns are very responsive, but another change I would personally make to Men in Black that a lot of other people might not think is a major issue, personally, I'd make it a little more clear what you're shooting at and where the targets are, but that's probably just a personal gripe for me. Maybe that's why I suck at the ride. But moving on from that, another change I would make to Universal's dark rides is remove all the similar dark rides. Like, for example, Despicable Me, Minion Mayhem, and Race New York Starring Jimmy Fallon are very similar. So personally, in that situation, I would remove Race to New York starring Jimmy Fallon. And then also, I would remove the Simpsons Ride, because that's very similar to The Amazing Adventures of Spider-Man. I would also remove Fast and Furious Supercharged, because that's just a dumpster fire that we don't speak of. And then, there's really not many other attractions at Universal that are worth removing, except for Transformers The Ride 3D, which personally, it is a good ride, but I just feel like it should be removed for bigger and better investments in Universal's dark. So those are my ways how I would personally fix Universal's ride lineup. If you made it this far in the video, I just want to thank you for watching the video. And if you enjoyed it, remember to give this video a like and share this video with anybody you know who will be visiting Universal soon. Also, remember to subscribe to Southeastern Thrills, and I recommend that you check out my video on how to have the best day ever at Universal Studios Sister Park, Islands of Adventure. And peace.